Fanfiction is an anime that really goes above and beyond to be a master of its craft, something that breaks the mold with everything it does and really pushes the boundaries of what the medium is capable of. So of course I'm talking about 100 Girlfriends. Oh yeah, baby, I'm gonna nut! In very few anime will you find such unabashed, pure self-indulgent material that'll give you both hilarity and titties simultaneously. Hey, go away, I'm trying to get views here. And it's the fact that the 100 Girlfriends who love you is so self-aware to almost the point of parody that makes it so good.
It's not like I want to eat your cummies or anything, baka?
It's a brazen acceptance of its genre's tropes and trends, much in the same way as Fairy Tail and Black Clover are for shonen, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because it's pure fun all around with extreme Chad antics from the main character. And his harem of waifus that are literally made for me. Just look at her fat ass. As I was saying, he has a harem of women, and this one loves meth. If you're not a filthy degenerate like myself and the author who's into diaper peeing, even I think this is disgusting, then you likely have no idea what this anime is even about. But it's fortunately a very simple show that allows you to hop right into the degeneracy just by knowing that Chad Toro here is a guy who's been rejected all of his life. The worst she could say is no.
Babe said it, so I gotta do it.
Don't you think this is taking it a bit too far?
I have to.
Okay. Only to be told by literal God, just roll with it, that he's actually been accidentally blessed with 100 soulmates, of whom will die horrible deaths if he meets and chooses to reject them. Which no one would ever do. If that sounds like an absolutely insane premise, then that's because it is, and while I'd normally say it reeks of self-inserting, I'm heavily biased towards the absolute Chad that Rentaro is, on top of his undeniably exquisite taste.
It should have been me, not him!
It's the kind of plot that understands it's crazy and rolls with it, which is what leads to all the asinine things that come out of this show. Yet even then, it somehow manages to be as wholesome as it is by showcasing just how much Rentaro genuinely loves each of these girls. This is what they call mutual masturbation. The first 4 episodes do try to genuinely take the premise seriously, and in those episodes we're able to see how much Rentaro pays attention to his goddesses, both by observing their small little tics that make them special, and being able to pinpoint when they're feeling mad or flustered. But by the 5th episode, that's all but thrown out the window when the 4th girl just unceremoniously joins the harem and no one really questions it. While it does continue to have Rentaro notice small things about his masters to flesh them out a bit more, the girls themselves no longer put up much chagrin to the whole idea of him having multiple girlfriends, but this not only makes sense through the writing of Rentaro being so pure and Chad-pilled that they'd be down for it, but also that it's simply to the anime's benefit in general, and not just because of this.
The Fitness Gram Pacer test is a multi-stage...
You see, while asking the question and pondering on just how a situation like this might work can make for good material, it's much better to simply roll with the fact that it's not going to, nor should it, make any sense in that regard whatsoever, because you'll never have 5 girlfriends, let alone 1. So it's a moot point to try to make any serious sense of it. It's not the core theme of the show, but focusing on each of the girls' individual arcs through their introductory episodes and the supremely silly comedy that emerges from all these different people coming together is the focus, and what makes the anime so enjoyable is it's able to balance this serious and heart-touching moment with someone like Shizuka in one episode, and then have tons of meta references and hilarious scenes in the next episode. You know what? It works. The decision to provide plenty of titillation is certainly what helps a harem anime to succeed, but Daisuke also has the well-placed and directed comedy that consistently lands, and the anime adaptation as a whole to thank for its success, because god damn did they understand the assignment.
Whatever, and then I humped it, and it kept going, and it came all over the cat.
It's on a similar level to Kaguya-sama, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Fire Force in terms of amplifying the source material and adding in completely new material that fits right in with the existing subject matter, slotting in small little flourishes that really make the anime feel unique, while improving scenes and characters all the while with the impressively expressive animation and absolute stellar voice work for all the girls, never making anyone look, feel, or sound too obnoxious, while actively bettering characters like Diaper Hag from her manga counterpart. Even the English translation of the show gets in on the joke by adding in community memes,
Goddamn right.
which normally would be awful, but this is just the rare type of anime that benefits from such a thing. From the animators to the director to even the translator, everyone is making this the best it can possibly be, except for the author. It's peak harem trash and quite possibly one of the best there is, and while it does have some issues that hold it back, like this odd fluctuating quality between episodes where some will look bright, colorful, and fantastic, and then others will look drab, dull, boring, and barely move, it's only one of a small list of things that could be perceived as negatives, assuming you're into this type of show in the first place, because it's certainly not for everyone. As it is a harem show, it doesn't necessarily have the widest appeal, but it goes all in for the people who do tune in, avoiding waifu wars amongst the fandom because every girl wants a piece of the Chad pie. That should have been me, not her. And because 3 of the 5 girls thus far are petite, which makes me fucking erect. And because all of the girls' designs are varied and unique, fitting all the different preferences despite clearly catering to me. In addition to their personalities being both fleshed out while also unique enough that they play off the rest of the cast well. Even if most of them are just typical character archetypes you'd find in any other rom-com, it still manages to make for a fresh-feeling cast, even if it is indeed the case that many of them are boiled down to a one-note gag after their introductory episodes until the plot calls for them to be otherwise. Despite that, though, they still manage to have more character and motivation than a majority of other anime with smaller casts, because I mean, just look at them. There's just so much character there, man. The consistency of the writing itself can also vary greatly, and not in a good way, but when it hits hard, and Shizuka's episode is the perfect example of that, where she was bullied by students and abused by her mother due to communicating with a book rather than with her words, which would be me, which isn't a groundbreaking backstory, but it's one that the anime portrays well through the usage of lighting, using brighter colors when it's happy in the present day and darker when it wasn't in the flashback, and that when combined with the sincerity that oozes from the anime as if it were the purest being in existence, makes you feel emotional. Which is definitely not what you were expecting going into an anime with a girl so horny that she puts EDP to shame.
Oh, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
In addition to things like this. Dear fucking Lord Christ in heaven, save some ass for the rest of the mole. Additionally, the solution Chad Taro comes up with of Shizuka text-to-speeching her book is quite the creative one on the author's part, as it's a unique take on a similar character archetype, but in using the book and thereby limiting her vocabulary, it not only makes her stand out even as more girlfriends are introduced, but it also makes a lot of sense in character that he'd solve the problem with something that she feels most comfortable using, which just adds to his Chad energy. It's not the best written thing in the world, but it's those facets that make it hit as hard as it does, and the premise of the show being to eventually have 100 girlfriends really only works because of how the author thinks of the nuance for each individual girl, rather than treating them like an afterthought for comedic purposes and to fulfill the quota, which in turn makes them all feel distinctive in a show where they would otherwise feel bloated and non-essential. Honestly, the fact that it continues to repeat the same formula of introduce girl, have fun quirky group episode, and then introduce girl again, yet still remain entertaining, is just tantamount to everything I've said thus far. Assuming you're not just a degenerate in it for the booba. I'm just sad it's not me at this point. It's an anime that catches you off guard with how genuine it is, despite appearing to be a weird shitpost of a hentai, down to even looking like one, and that's what makes it special. It's arguably one of the best harem anime out there, and if it lives up to its 100 girlfriend promise, then it'll definitely become the best harem anime of all time. It's just a shame it ended in episode 8.